2023 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid versus Corolla Cross Hybrid. Which one is the better buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. The Toyota RAV4 has long been one of the most popular and reliable crossover SUVs on the market. And the hybrid version in particular is arguably the best and most desirable version of the RAV4 that you can buy. But now Toyota makes another hybrid crossover that you might want to consider, the Corolla Cross Hybrid, which has most of the same benefits of the RAV4, but for a slightly lower price. So if you want a reliable and affordable hybrid SUV, then which of these two makes more sense to buy? Well, that's what we're going to find out. And remember, if you enjoy and get value out of this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications. I post 2 videos a week, always straight to the point, valuable car buying advice designed to help you, the consumer. Now, the first thing to know about the RAV4 Hybrid and Corolla Cross Hybrid is that they are actually much closer in price than you might think. The RAV4 Hybrid that I'm currently driving is the XLE version, which is the most popular trim and the second cheapest one after the LE. It has an all-in price of around 40,000 Canadian or around 34,000 US, which is only around $1,000 more than the Corolla Cross Hybrid XSE that I test drove a little while ago. And even if you want to save a few $1,000s and go for the RAV4 Hybrid LE and the Corolla Cross Hybrid SE, the price difference is still the same. Now, the US does get a base version of the Corolla Cross Hybrid that's not available in Canada, the Hybrid S, which is around $2,700 less expensive than the base model RAV4 Hybrid LE. But even so, when you compare trims that have very similar features between these two SUVs, the price difference is really not that great. And another area where these two SUVs are very similar is the hybrid system that's found underneath the hood, including in terms of power and fuel economy. The Corolla Cross Hybrid uses Toyota's 5th generation hybrid system, the same one found in the new Toyota Prius. It uses a naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that comes matched to 2 electric motors, a lithium-ion battery, and a planetary gear type ECVT transmission. You also have a 3rd electric motor that powers the back wheels, which gives you standard all-wheel drive. This hybrid system produces around 196 horsepower, which allows the Corolla Cross to accelerate to highway speed in just under 8 seconds. The RAV4 Hybrid, on the other hand, uses the older 4th generation hybrid system, although it still works more or less the exact same way. The only significant difference is that you have a slightly larger 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine, which means that it produces around 219 horsepower. But because the RAV4 Hybrid is a little bit bigger and heavier than the Corolla Cross, the extra power is not really noticeable. Both SUVs accelerate more or less the same. And not only are these two SUVs very close in terms of power, but they also have very similar fuel economy too. The Corolla Cross Hybrid is rated for around 42 miles per gallon or 5.6 liters per 100 kilometers, whereas the RAV4 Hybrid is rated for 40 miles per gallon or 6 liters per 100 kilometers. So either way, you're going to get very good fuel economy and very similar performance. Now, some buyers might be concerned that because the Corolla Cross Hybrid is newer than the RAV4 Hybrid, the reliability might not be as good. But I don't think that needs to be much of a concern, because at the end of the day, this is still a Corolla, and the Corolla Cross Hybrid still uses the exact same components that you would find on any other Corolla model, including a very well-proven hybrid system that Toyota has been refining and developing for over 2 decades. So one major benefit that you get, regardless of whether you go with the Corolla Cross Hybrid or the RAV4 Hybrid, is a very strong, well-proven reputation for amazing reliability. Toyota hybrids have proven themselves to be some of the most reliable and long-lasting ones on the market, which is why you often find them being used as taxis, where they easily rack up 200, even 300,000 miles without having any serious mechanical issues. So far these two SUVs are sounding very similar in most ways, so where exactly do they differ? Well, there are some differences in terms of the way they drive. Because the Corolla Cross is a smaller vehicle, it is a little bit more nimble and has slightly sharper handling than the RAV4. It also feels more maneuverable and easier to park, again thanks to its smaller overall size. The RAV4, however, does have a slight advantage when it comes to ride quality, refinement, and quietness. Although the difference between them isn't really that great, I do think that the RAV4 is a little bit quieter than the Corolla Cross, and the ride quality is a little bit softer too. But if you are looking for that quietness, smoothness, and refinement, there's no question. The hybrid version of either SUV is a lot better than the equivalent non-hybrid. So whether you go with the hybrid version of the Corolla Cross or the RAV4, not only are you getting more power and much better fuel economy, but you're also getting a lot more refinement too. Now, as you can probably imagine, the most significant differences between these two SUVs has to do with their dimensions and also the interior space. Although both SUVs have more or less the same amount of ground clearance, the RAV4 Hybrid is around 1 inch wider, but more significantly 5 inches longer. And what that means is that on the inside, the RAV4 Hybrid is the more spacious SUV of the two. It has around 5 inches of additional rear seat legroom, which is quite a bit. And it also has a significantly larger cargo area, with around 12 cubic feet more space than the Corolla Cross. It's also worth mentioning that the RAV4 gets an actual spare tire, whereas with the Corolla Cross Hybrid, you only get a tire repair kit, which is obviously not as good. You also have more cargo volume with the rear seats folded flat in the RAV4, but it is worth mentioning that with the Corolla Cross, even though it isn't quite as spacious as the RAV4, it is still one of the most spacious subcompact crossovers in its segment. Compared to something like a Hyundai Kona, a Subaru Crosstrek, or a Mazda CX-30, the Corolla Cross is a more spacious and practical vehicle. So for someone who's okay with having a little bit less space and maybe just wants to have a smaller vehicle than the RAV4, the Corolla Cross will work perfectly fine. Now, even though the Corolla Cross is a bit smaller and less spacious than the RAV4, it really doesn't sacrifice that much when it comes to features and technology. For example, both SUVs use the same touchscreen infotainment system with Toyota's latest multimedia user interface. It's a good infotainment system that's very responsive, has nice looking graphics, and it also comes standard with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is great to see. Both SUVs also have a very straightforward climate control setup and a very similar gauge cluster setup behind the steering wheel. I would also say that both are also very similar when it comes to overall build quality and comfort. The seating space up front, however, for the driver and front passenger is more or less the same in both SUVs, so you should be equally comfortable in either one. It's also great to see that both SUVs also come with all the latest active safety features that you would want to have, and they also have top-notch safety ratings too. So with all that out of the way, I think it's time to get into the pricing and find out which one is the better value. Well, pricing for the RAV4 Hybrid starts around $32,000 US or 37,000 Canadian. But if you go for the XLE model like the one I'm testing here, it's around $34,000 US or 40,000 Canadian. And as for the Corolla Cross Hybrid, well, the pricing for that one ranges from around $30,000 to $33,000 US or 36,000 to 39,000 Canadian. Now, there are a few other things to consider here, including availability and dealer markups, which continue to be a major issue. Because hybrids such as these two are in such high demand and the availability is so limited, the waiting period for these two SUVs can be extremely long, anywhere from a few months to over a year depending on where you're located. And even if you can get your hands on one, you might be faced with dealerships trying to charge a huge dealer markup, in addition to all kinds of dealer fees or add-ons that can jack up the price way over the normal MSRP. There's no question, buying a Toyota hybrid regardless of the model is a major challenge at the moment. But unfortunately, this is also a major problem for most other manufacturers too, so regardless of what type of hybrid SUV you want to buy, you could be faced with these same type of issues. Now, fortunately, where I'm located, you can find dealerships that will sell for MSRP with no unnecessary fees, so that part is not an issue, but you will still be faced with extremely long waiting periods. And knowing that I'm going to be faced with a long waiting period regardless of which hybrid SUV I buy, I think it still makes the most sense to go for the RAV4 Hybrid or the Corolla Cross. At least in the case of these two, you're getting a rock-solid reputation for very strong reliability, low repair costs, and also maintaining extremely high resale value too. Both the RAV4 and Corolla Cross are not only known for having very low ownership costs, but they also don't drop much in price over time, so if you want to sell or trade in down the road, you are going to get a lot of your money back. And because Toyota also has so much confidence in the reliability of their hybrids, they also have the best hybrid warranty in the industry, 8 years on the hybrid components, and a 10-year warranty on the hybrid battery pack, which is unmatched by almost any other manufacturer. So if you just want a safe, reliable, well-designed SUV that is not going to cost you a lot to own, you're really not going to go wrong with either one of these two choices. But this is a comparison and there needs to be a winner, so if I have to pick one of these two SUVs to be the better buy and the better overall value, it would have to be the RAV4 Hybrid. The reality is that the RAV4 Hybrid just gives you more for the money. It has the same performance, more or less the same fuel economy, a much more spacious interior with more cargo space, a more comfortable ride, and all for a very similar price to the Corolla Cross Hybrid. But even though I think the RAV4 Hybrid is the better value, for some buyers, the Corolla Cross Hybrid might still make a lot more sense. There are some buyers who just don't care about having the most amount of interior space and cargo space. Maybe they just want to have a smaller, more compact, easier to drive SUV. And maybe they prioritize just having more features for less money. But either way, one thing's for sure, you're not going to go wrong with either one of these two choices. So, which of these two SUVs would you go for? Or would you go for something else instead? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at my other car videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and if you need additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.